How are we all doing? Friday already, eh? Friday already. Hope you're all doing well. Anyone been up to anything interesting, or are we all just sat waiting for something to happen? Waiting for something to happen. I think there's a very good chance that we get the FAQ next Wednesday from some bits and pieces that I've seen in terms of timeline, and I think we'll know about it. We won't be waiting until Wednesday to know. I think there's a very good chance that on Sunday we get an announcement, which is telling us that there's going to be a release, and then we get the FAQ the following Wednesday, and then the things go to pre-order on the next Saturday. But we'll find out. We'll find out. I'm hopeful for sure. A little bit of a slower start today. Who we got? Anyone here to have their bring on the update? Yeah, absolutely, Rhino. Absolutely. All month. I was like, I hope there was one day basically that I hope it doesn't drop on, which is Monday 22nd, because I'm away on that day. I'm away Sunday into Monday. So it'd be a bit of a pain if it was. Hey, thanks, Leith. Good to have you. Good to have you. You haven't submitted any lists of specifically units of 12 Chaos Warriors, I see. Nothing for me to work on. You looking forward to next week, Colin? I don't know it's next week. It would make sense. I don't want to set expectations too high, but yeah, I am hoping. That is for sure. Hey, how's it, Dave? Pizza Sunday lunch. Is this your wish list for the FAQ? Oh, there we go. Fix your list. Pizza Sunday lunch, Dietz and burger. I'm not a big burger boy. They're fine. I don't mind them, but they're not too bad. Pizza and Sunday lunch. I think I don't hate that order that you've got them in. I think pizza is versatile enough, whereas Sunday lunch is kind of one thing. It's kind of one note. I also think it's harder to have a bad pizza than it is a bad Sunday lunch. I think I like Sunday lunch more, but given that you can have like a proper dirty takeaway deep dish, or you can do something nice, proper Italian stone baked classic, all the different toppings. Pizza in number 1 makes sense to me. Sunday lunch number 2, burger, whatever. Get sushi on that list. Sushi would be number 1 for me. Expectations are set to maximum. Maximum. Nice. You keep forgetting, do you have a chaos list for me to run my eyes over at some point when you remember to submit it? Well, every Friday. That's the time to do things. Don't know if might take a break next Friday because we're so close to the FAQ. It depends what's going on. So if we haven't had the FAQ at all, I'll probably just have a Friday off next week. But assuming that we have the FAQ, I might not do Fix My List. I might do something different. I'm not really sure what. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If you're here and you haven't already, please give the stream a thumbs up. Gets picked up by the algorithm. All of that good stuff. All of that jazz. And yeah, let's just get started. It's a chill one today. There's 8 lists to go through on this one, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fix my FAQ. I think that would just make me sad if it was a Fix my FAQ. If I'm like, here's all the things that you haven't done, and then they won't change them, and it'll be another 6 months until we get another update anyway. New medical show. Fix my wrist. Yeah. I do have minor RSI in my right list from years of slamming the group handle into a commercial coffee machine when I used to run a coffee shop. But then also from playing far too much Path of Exile, I had to stop playing that game because my wrist was starting to hurt. Yeah, that feels like maybe one that I shouldn't do, given my lack of medical training in terms of fix my wrist. Yes, those are the reasons you have a sore wrist. Like, how aggressively are you jerking off, Dave, that it's causing you wrist pain? Like, that says a lot about you and doesn't say anything about me. I think you need to do some introspection. Since you're here already, let's have a look at Colin's list. Oh. I will say, I think my favourite bit about you, Dave, is that you will always commit to the bit. I am a fan of that. As a fellow bit committer, I enjoy that. Okay. So, list from Colin. Chaos Dwarves. Here is my what if Dwarfs were fast. Fast pressure, come at the opposing army far faster than they expected a matchup. Sorcerer Prophet General, Demonology for Seed of Shadows, all of that good stuff. Despot is a mobile piece. Okay, Castellan in the block of infantry with drilled Carnival Fridays. Alright, cool. Let's have a look. Hey, Dan. Yeah, okay, so the whole point is that you're going fast. So we've got... The Despot is very tanky, in that you've got Mantle of Stone getting up to T7, Armor of Destiny, and a shield. So you've got a 3-up against shooting because of the Black Shard armor. You've got a 4-up in combat. You've got a great weapon. Just a solid setup in general. That does work. This is probably my go-to if I'm running a Despot on a Taurus now. Castellan on foot, magic armor, just a charmed shield, great weapon. Sure. Hobgoblin Khan. How are we doing on points and characters? We're not under points. Okay, interesting. Interesting. 2 Iron Demons. I don't know. No worries, Dan. The VOD will be here when you get chance. And Callum, your lists have a feature on here because they're already perfect. No, because if you had to change anything, it would add 3 weeks of painting time. That's the reason. You can't, submit a list and then have to change something, because then you'd never be done in time for the tournament. That's the real reason. All right. Where am I at? What was I talking about? Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Skullcracker. Like, I know it's better than it was. I know it makes the stomps better. I'm not sold. I'm not sold. And it'd also be cheaper. Like, I'm wondering if we can free up points by just going double steam cannonade and accepting that we're not hellbound. Because you've got... actually, there's really just not very much in the way of magic items in the list, is there? Or magic attacks? You know, I'd hit the Skullcracker first, yeah. I was looking for points, and I was like, only 800 points in characters. There's got to be something we can do here. I feel like you do want magic. Some sort of magical threat. But I feel like... we're struggling on points here. I'd also like magic resist. I feel like going 2 units... I'm not sold on the double units here. Like, 1 unit is going to be pretty unsupported. You've got Monster Hunter Tapestry. You could go Magic Resist 2 on there as well. Pretty comfortably. Like, it's 280 points on a wizard who is not... yeah. Okay, so the premise is that your Sorcerer Prophet, you want to give rerolls to the Iron Demons. You want to theoretically steal a Shadow's Demonic Vessel. Yeah. I think, as much as I really like Tome of Spellcraft, I think if you're on foot and you're trying to do Steed of Shadow stuff, you just have to go Lore Familiar. Like, you can't play the game where you just, at a tournament, theoretically 2 of the games, you don't get the spells you need. And also, you don't have the oomph here. You've just got some Strength 5 Great Weapon attacks. So without Demonic Vessel, you're just not punching very hard. So I think we need the consistency here, which then makes me go, you probably want at least 1 Power Scroll. The Despot is good. I just like the Despot build. The Castellan, I would like a little bit more tankiness, and I'd like some magic resist. So the obvious thing that I'd like to fit in here is... Oh, we can keep the Charm Shield, theoretically. But I do like Armor of Bazaret the Cruel, because it gives you magic resist 2 and full plate. So then you're T5 with 3 wounds and a 4-up save. Then if you ever need to use the Charm Shield, you can. But usually you're just going to be rocking the Great Weapon pretty aggressively. Friends don't let friends roll for Steed of Shadows. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If you, it's different if you've got the Sorcerer Prophet on the back of a Taurus, and you're like, it does a lot of things, but also, hopefully, I roll Steed of Shadows. That feels fine. But when it's, I'm taking this purely for the job of supporting the infantry and Iron Demons, I think you have to get it. Okay. Then you've only got magic resist in 1 of the 2 units, which I do not like. I'm still not sold that it's a double. I get the idea, because you can Steed of Shadows 1 unit, and then you can use the Despots plus movement range on the other one. But what if we just went for 1 unit that was good and aggressively push that up the board? Because then you can use the Despot's ability to increase their charge range. I don't know if it's going to be on here. I don't think it's got all the special rules. No, it's the Army Builder. Oh no, it seems to have them down here. Relentless March, yeah. Giving them plus D3 movement. Because this is done in the command phase, it gives you plus movement when you need it, as opposed to, doing it after charge range. Good morning. Must be from the other side of the world. Good morning to you. Start of your weekend, it must be, Hayden. So I think my pitch here is, let's go for 1 unit that actually does things, as opposed to 2 units that kind of do something, maybe. And if we're doing that, I actually don't know that it needs to be the Warriors. Maybe it's instead we go for the because Warriors aren't that cheap anymore. They're cheapish, but they're not cheap. They're 10 points per model with Great Weapon Shield, whereas didn't they go up to 8 points base instead of 7 points base? I'm not sure if this just hasn't been updated. I thought they got patched. I don't have I'm not logged in on this one. Let me just grab the actual PDF here in another. Why have I been logged out? All of my browsers are messing up today. Right, let's try this again. Okay. This is what I was looking for. Chaos Dwarves. Let's see what we're working with here. Because I'm sure the actual dwarves went up in points. Because they weren't 6 points per model previously, without any items. Just scroll from here. 7 points. Is it maybe that you have to pay for shields? Maybe that was the change? Was readjusted back down to 7. Oh, okay. Interesting. I've missed that. That must have been a hot fix that I haven't looked at this document in a little bit. June 3rd. Dwarf Warriors. Final 7. Yeah, sure. Okay. How many points are we looking then in difference if we're going? For the sake of it is just a flat 3-point difference, isn't it? But the Infernal Guard come with stubborn and shield wall, whereas the warriors only come with shield wall. So stubborn is valuable, especially if you're doing Steed of Shadows. I think I'd be tempted to still just go up to this, and then Great Weapon Veteran, go full command still. Monster Hunter Tapestry. Oops. Give him drilled. Drilled plus Steed of Shadows is just the funniest thing you can do. And then if you're going for it, you'd go for a larger unit. How big do we need here to get above min points? 22. That's 6x4. If you put the Source for Profit and the Castellan in there, that works pretty well. Castellans can't be BSBs, can they? No. It's probably for the best, given how strong their ability is, but giving them that and letting them be BSB as well, while being a T5 3-wound model, might be a bit much. Okay, so this gives us one unit that just gets up the board, but also slaps. Then you've got the short bow, Hobgoblin Couplet Throats for cheap, then the Wolf Riders. And then we've sacrificed the magical attacks, and I've just defaulted back to the Steam Cannonade. I think I like this better, but what else are we getting from this? This is this too expensive? We could go 3 levels. We don't need 4 levels if we're picking our spells, because you're just going to go Steed of Shadows and Demonic Vessel, and then either Demonic Familiars or the Summoning, depending on the matchup. And you're not going to cast the Summoning very often. I guess you roll... what's the timing on Darkforged Weapon? It's after you deploy, isn't it? So it's not actually going to do the thing that I want it to do. Let's have a look here. Darkforged Weapon after deployment, but before the first turn. So after you've rolled your spells. Okay, no worries. No worries. All right. Yeah, I think this is the change I'd make, but then it's still missing magical attacks. Really, that's a big weakness to it. So maybe just back to one of these having Hellbound, which means we then have to drop 2 points somewhere, which is moderately frustrating. I don't think there's anything that's easy to drop. I kind of wonder... I mean, for the points you're paying for them, the short bows aren't that bad. I guess it's just drop a Hobgoblin, and that would be the way to go there. I don't love it. I feel like it's missing something, but it does have the fast pressure. You know, you can see the shadows, this one unit up the board. I guess the question becomes, do you need the Castellan as well in there? That's how you could free up some points. But I think that the buff that the Castellan brings is very good. And just having T5, 3 wounds, 4 up armor save with a great weapon and at the front line, it adds a decent amount of chunk, even if you're not doing anything else. And carrying that magic resist 2 is valuable. This has got... Yeah, we'd have to drop the Talisman of Protection to fit in the armor there, so I don't feel particularly great about that. Okay, yeah, I think this is the direction that I'd go with what you've got, but I'm still not 100% sold on it. This doesn't feel quite right for some reason. I'm not 100% sure what I would go with. However, you can just put it in your coaching channel, and then we can tweak around with it. Colin being one of my coaching students. Speaking of, obviously we're coming up into a new FAQ. So, yeah, I may have to, depending on... no, never mind, whatever. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Obviously, I will be doing coaching once the FAQ drops. I'll probably pause my my sessions for a week or so, and then open them back up if, for people doing coaching. Anyway. Let's move on to something completely different. Let's start off with... Dan's gone. I don't know that anyone here who's been typing in chat has submitted a list today. So let's just go with... Let's go with a fun one. Mark N has submitted a list which is all squigs. And let me just scroll down. You're welcome, Colin. Let's just have a quick look here. So Mark says, got a 2,000 point squig army for casual games tonight with friends. Lord and Hero will each join one of the squig hopper units. The Shaman is on a flying carpet, but I've modified him riding a flying squig instead. Very nice. 2 squig gobbers that I want to use as Doom Divers. Very nice. You also have a Colossal Squig that you could use as an extra Mangler Squig, but you're going to... Yeah. So I did look in the list, and you'd basically put it in as an allied giant spawn of Khorne, which is in a casual friendly game seems entirely reasonable to me. This is one of those where I think there's going to be very little I can change because it's a very restrictive list, but also it's for a casual game. But what we'll do is we'll have a look at it, and then we'll have a look at the magic items, because that's probably the only thing that might get tweaked around. So it's all squigs. 2 times 25 squig herd. Is that okay? So those are bricks of 30. Those are lots of squigs, but it makes the army legal, so you can actually run a full squig army. 2 units of 10 squig hopper mobs. I almost wonder if it'd be better to go for smaller but more multiple units. Let's have a look. The wizard on flying squig is level 4 with a ward save, Idol of Mork, illusion. Just as a control piece. Sure. I don't know if there's anything else that I feel strongly about giving this wizard. Flying carpet. Idle Mork, that's 70. What else has it got? Talisman protection. Yeah, so it's just the full 100 points there. I wonder, I guess War Magic's not that great because you can't increase charge ranges because you're a random mover. So yeah, it's just hope that you roll into stuff. I wonder is it worth giving them a weapon in case you roll Spectral Doppelganger? I guess not. I guess if you roll Spectral Doppelganger, all you're doing is just be like, well, I guess you're going to take a load of, 2d6 strength 3 hits, which is not awful. It's, as assailment spells go, it's actually kind of above rate, even though it's a high casting value. Then we've got the War Boss, who has got Paymaster's Coin, Potion of Fervor, Wallopers One Hit Wonder, Armor of Mork. Okay, so this is the eggs all in one basket. The most eggs in a single basket possible. Armor of Mork gives you +1 toughness, I think, doesn't it? Magic resist 2, that's it. So it's the heavy armor with MR2, comboed with, I guess, a charm, just a regular shield, because there's no points. So you're starting with 4 attacks. Your Potion of Fervoring for an extra 2 on average, so you've got 6 attacks. You'll be hitting the things you care about on 4s, re-rolling, so you're going to get like 3.75-ish, 3.8. And then you strengthen. Okay, sure. This will hit really hard once, and then you'll be running around with a magical hand weapon. Then you've got this giant cave squig. You said they're joining the units of you've got them joining the squig hoppers. I'm not sure why. Not sure why you've got tanky with it then, with the Trollhide Trouser and Charm Shield. I don't know that that's what you need from it. I feel like what you need is punch, because the entire unit is so naked. He's not tanky enough to tank anything that matters. Like, you can't go toe-to-toe with a dragon or anything like that. And he doesn't... You haven't made him hit harder with this. So I wonder if it's just not worth spending the points on the defense in that way, and maybe just go like MR2. So you could take the Trollhide Trousers off, give him MR2, and then... Or Glowy Green Amulet or something like that. Giving defense against magic missiles on your very squishy models, that could be something. Or even a BSB. I guess model restriction-wise, it's probably not modeled as a BSB. But you could drop this down to a big boss. BSB with the -1 to hit banner. The Swirling Winds. And then MR2. And that, I think, fits about points-wise. Let me just have a look at how this compares. Goblin Big Boss, so cheap. BSB, Swirling Winds. Obviously, you want to try and be out of line of sight, but there is kind of a... Oops, wrong model. It has to be a Night Goblin. Obviously, there is a limit to how much out of line of sight you can be when your entire army is squigs. So having a little bit of defense here might be nice. MR2. That's what I was looking for. Double Obsidian Lodestone. Like, points-wise, that is only 24 points more. I like it more, but oh yeah, I'm gonna change it over, and maybe you'll be able to run that, or maybe not. I think this is interesting. I think it's maybe a little eggs all in one basket, but then also I think that's fine, because once they hit the thing they hit, they're kind of done anyway. So the fact that you only get one round of combat with the Wallopers one-hit wonder is probably okay. I'm still not sure on illusion here, but also it is what it is. Like, I actually almost would rather see a regular goblin flying around with elementalism. It doesn't really fit the theming, but I guess it's not an actual squig, it's just a flying carpet. Maybe you could change that over. Yeah. Okay. And then we've got the double units of squigs. You've got one with biting blade, one with obsidian lodestone. So we change that over to... I'm not opposed to giving them magical attacks, so giving them Sword of Might there is fine as well. Gives you a little bit of protection against enemy ethereal, if that's a problem. But yeah, I think this looks fine. And then we just need to find 20 points, which I guess is one squig from each unit. Job's a good one. But, yeah. Hope that is helpful there. Mark N. Shark emoji. Shark emoji. All right. Let's go for something... What are we looking at? Ah, okay. There was a null list. Let's have a look at a 2,200 point null list from Lungi. Let's see. It was another week of people making sure to give full context. Let's see here. Here we go. Okay, so 2-day event coming up in Sydney. Old Hammer First Blood GT. Player pack is on there. Okay, I'm not going to hunt down the player pack. Scoring is via banner on units. Has their own tiers for points. 2k standard up to 2,400 points. Empire Grand Army gets 2,200. Looking at a mobility avoidant list with scoring for the event as win-loss draw with kill points as a tiebreaker, so getting 20-0 is not important.
Rat emoji.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Rat emoji. Rat emoji. Oh, the list was called New Nuln, but it's not Nuln. It was just naming. 2.2k Empire. So it's... I guess it's because it's got a unit of Outriders in. Mobility avoidance list of scoring for the events is win-loss draw with kill points as a tiebreaker. Okay. I am not sure that you have avoidance in your list. Like, I could just park a dragon in front of any of these units. The Knights, the Wild Wolf, or the Demigryph Knights. And you're not avoiding me at all. Just being fast is not avoidance. I think you need another way of getting around them. We could change the Pegasus over battle magic. You wouldn't be able to use the Tome of Midnight, unfortunately. But you could go Lore Familiar. It's worse in that you're not getting as much oomph from your melee units. But it does let you Arcane Urgency units out from having dragons stood in front of them. So I think that's probably, if you're going avoidance, this is the way to do it. And we could probably drop you down to a level 3 wizard if we're doing that. What are we going for? Arcane Urgency. We don't need Oaken Shield. Because you just, like, if you're being targeted, you've kind of messed up anyway. Fireball, Arcane Urgency. I guess it's also just go for Pillar of Fire. It's probably the way to go there. Sure. Give them a wizard staff, so the fireballs cast at +1. Is there enough to give them a Ruby Ring of Ruin as well? I wonder if that's better. than the Power Scroll. The Power Scroll is very useful, and being able to get Arcane Urgency off is great. But just having the double Fireball, given that the game plan has to shift away from, dark magic, battle lusting the knights. Maybe you need a double wizard. Maybe that's the solution here. Also, I'm not sold on the Outriders. Repeater handguns, unfortunately, take unbelievable levels of modifiers. If you're moving and shooting these things outside of having them in Nuln, at best, realistically, you're going to be hitting on 6s. And that's if you move, have the -1 from Ponderous because you've moved, and then also have multiple shots. So I don't think Outriders do it, but I think... Where are they gone? Oh, it always messes me up. Road Wardens are in core, not core special. Like, Road Wardens I can see working. Give them a repeater pistol, sorry. Musician, brace of pistols, and give them ambushes, feign flight. Like, this is a very good mobile shooting unit. It's a lot shorter range, but it actually does the output while being mobile, which is a lot more useful there. Okay, so how do we tweak what we've got here to make it work? So you've got the general, who is lance, full plate, pure griffin, 2 heads. You haven't even given them a shield. White's cloak, twice blessed armor, healing potion. Okay, so this is about as tanky as this character's going to get, realistically. Then you've got the wizard lord. Why have you got an engineer? Oh, double cannons. How have I missed the cannons? I don't like the cannons. Even in an avoidance style list, you've got to have something. Then you've got a steam tank, which also can't avoid, but it's tanky enough that it'll take your opponent time to tie it up. I'm not convinced that this does what you want it to do. I'm not sure how to tweak the list to do what you're trying to achieve, which is to avoid and score points. Even with, I think we just have to go back to the Power Scroll on here, unfortunately. Because it's so important that you just don't have your very expensive units caught by dragons. Like, none of these have the static combat res to just stay alive versus dragons. And you haven't really got any range damage, or like you haven't got much range damage to win there. So like you can try and play the small win game, but I think it's going to be hard to do so. But I'm not sure. Like, if I'm doing this sort of style, I think the cannons are fine. You can play evasion and have artillery and just accept that they are sort of points that are written off and they need to make their money back in the first sort of couple of turns. So you bring like 4 and a couple of engineers and you say, good luck killing these all fast. So that would do something. I don't think the Demigryphs Knights do anything at all, unfortunately. They're very cool, and I like them, but I just don't think they play into the meta. So I am actually going to take them out, just for the purpose of trying to make this list do what it needs to do more. Because I'd go something along the lines of, like, 4 cannons, the Road Wardens, the Steam Tank. Because that gives you a lot of punch. And then also, I do want a second wizard on there. But the wizards are so expensive that it's going to be hard to fit that in. I guess if we're losing the... If we're losing the Demigryphs, it matters a lot less about having the... whatchamacallums, having the Battle Lust on there, because these knights... Sure, the Knights of the White Wolf hit like moderately hard, but it's not like you're taking them specifically to kill stuff. I guess maybe it would just be a case of... I can't even go 2 units of Road Wardens. Something like this, and then give one of the engineers a Ruby Ring of Ruin, points-wise, something like that. And a long rifle. I guess one of them having the long rifle, or the blunderbuss. Probably the blunderbuss. 24 inches is still pretty long. Something like that. Yeah, I don't know that I've done a great job for this one, but I also don't know how to tweak the concept of this. I think if you're going for the evasion, I'm assuming, given that you've said it's like a graduated list in terms of how many points you have to spend depending on which army you are. I'm assuming Null get less points to spend. I think for what you're doing, I would just go Null and play like the standard Null list if you're trying to play like evasion scoring. Yeah, I'm not. I'm just worried. I think, especially without the change to battle magic here, I think it's a very abusable list in terms of anything that's fast can just stand in front of your units and be like, you have no way of escaping me. Like, obviously, you can't drill past stuff if they just stand in front of the middle of your unit, for example. Okay. Well, we'll copy that one across. Okay. Is there anyone here who submitted a list who is around in chat at the moment that we could look at? Otherwise, I can just pick another one. But if there's anyone here who wants to specifically have their list looked at while they're around, we can definitely do that. If not, I reckon there's an ogre list that looks like it could be an interesting one. All right, we'll go with the ogres. So, Beanspud submitted a list, and they said, got my hands on some Age of Sigmar ogre monsters. Does that army translate to Old World? It's interesting for sure. I think it depends what you're looking for. So I think as a basic premise, I would say, again, this is an army, especially with the Thundertusk Riders. You're paying a fair whack of points for 6 wounds at T6 with only a Thundertusks. Thundertusks only have heavy armor, don't they? I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, they have a 5-up armor. So that's a very, it's a lot of points that you're spending in terms of having something that's durable. However, if you're not looking to play into, if you're playing sort of kitchen table level Warhammer, which is maybe the vibe you're going for, then there is something to be said about a wall of T6, multiple wounds, which is interesting. It's definitely interesting. What's the difference on this one? The Blood Vulture and the Harpoon Launcher. Cool. So in terms of just talking about the list as the concept exists, which is probably doesn't play well at tournaments, but for playing with friends, if you're not necessarily playing the most cutthroat lists, you can probably have a reasonable time with it. I think I would probably. Well, okay, so you can keep the Iron Guts. The Iron Guts make sense in that they're a very beefy sort of Death Star-ish unit. If I'm looking at them, I'm probably changing them over to something else in this sort of playstyle. I'd probably be looking at just units of Noblars. I'd just go, if I could, as many points of core Noblars and then stuff that's hard to kill, like the Saber Tusks. But also, again, if we're talking kitchen table, just 8 great weapon models with a 5-up armor save and a 5-up regen. It's not terrible. It's not bad at all. So I'm going to leave them. But if you're trying to make this the most cutthroat version, I'd go really heavy on the Noblars and then probably some Saber Tusks as well, and put some ambushes in. In fact, this unit definitely wants to have at least something, so I'm going to give them ambushes there. And then we'll need to shave 10 points. Let's worry about that later. Characters. Okay, so you've got the Tyrant, who is great weapon on the back of the Thundertusk with a Talisman of Protection and Death Cheater. This is, in terms of a cheap loadout, this is absolutely fine. I would. Yeah, I mean, the armor save sucks, but I guess you're just relying on the fact that you've got 9 wounds and a 5-up ward save, and you can make them reroll a successful wound once per game. So this is as budgets go, it's pretty okay. Then we're on to the second one, which is the Bruiser, and you've given both the Bruisers a fistful of laurels to reroll a break test. I would say just don't lose fights. Don't go in planning on losing fights. Instead, you'd be much better off having some sort of defensive items. So this is, I believe, just sort of, it's not Renegades, it's just straight Legacy, so you can't even take Charmed Shield, unfortunately, because that is one of the ways that you could go defensively. So maybe it'd be something along the lines of give 1 Armor of Meteoric Iron, and we've only got 20 points left. Maybe we have to drop Death Cheater from all of these. As good as Death Cheater is, I think we might have to drop Death Cheater just to get the defensive items in, because it's better to have all of your models having defensive items and giving up the sort of gimmick save. So give 1 the Spangle Shard, which is the 4-up ward that can be broken, and then you give 1 of them Armor Meteoric Iron, 1 of them Talisman Protection, and then they're all moderately defended. They're, they could do with being a little bit more defended, but they are as good as they're going to get. And then if we're doing this, maybe just going down to 3 Saber Tusks is fine. If you bring them in as ambushes, just keeping them cheap and cheerful, 60 points that'll come on. I don't want to drop any Noblars. Honestly, I'd rather have more Noblars than you've got, but it sounds like this is more of a start of collection as opposed to you have all of the units available. So I don't want to necessarily be like, hey, this build is worth investing money into for tournament play or something like that. And also we've got an FAQ coming, so I don't want to recommend that you build and paint another, I don't know, 100 Noblars. Conservatively, probably more than that. I think, in terms of core, a good ogre list maybe starts with 4 units of 40 or 4 units of 30 Noblar fighters. So you could go pretty big on them. So let's go to, whose list was this again? Beanspud. Cool. Great. We've got some elves, we've got some more elves, we've got some more elves, and we've got some mortuary cult. I have stacked the deck a little bit poorly here. Let's go with the most infuriating, then go with a palette cleanser of Tomb Kings, and then we'll go with the other 2 elves. That's, I think, the best way to look at it. And this is not to call out the person who's submitted the list, but Rico's list says playing around with merworms. Now, hopefully, merworms are going to get better, because right now, merworms are very expensive for not actually having that great of a setup. I was so hyped for merworms when they were talking about them initially, and they missed the bar pretty significantly. I'm just going to, I guess, sermonize about merworms for a bit, because they make me sad. If you get a 3... Oh, is that your list slogan? If you get a 3D printer, I'll try FTM minis to make all the Nobblers. Nobblers are really good. The fact that they don't panic other Nobblars is really frustrating to play against, and you just overlap them, so you get into a situation where you're never catching and killing them. You're either running them off the board, or you're killing every model. Not you, just no green drawer. That's fair. All right, so merworms. Stat line, kind of pretty decent. Initiative 3, don't care. Attacks 4, it's not as good as it could be, but it's got impact hits and stomps. Cool, that's fine. Special rules, fine-ish. Heavy armor, fine-ish. Attacks, only AP1. It's not the end of the world. We've still got the D3+1 stomps. A single attack with the serpentine tail, sure, whatever. The thing that really annoys me is that all of their defensive abilities are so just limited. You're -2 to shoot at them for long range instead of -1. Okay. If I'm dying at range, it's to cannonballs. So the minus to hit from shooting at long range doesn't exist. Yeah, there is no penalty for shooting a cannonball at a distance. Then we've got Enfeebling Cold, which is only in base-to-base contact, enemy models are -1 to their strength. It's not attacks against this or enemy units in combat with this. It's so frustrating. So frustrating. And also it probably needs a regen or something like that. But 225 points. I think, I'd be tempted to say this should go down to 140 or 150-ish. And even then, I'm not excited to play it, but I'm just maybe the pile of stats is efficient-ish enough. It's so pricey. You pay a lot, I think, for the weapon skill and stuff when you're a monster, which makes sense, but also you're just gonna die to shooting or being a snack to a dragon or something like that. Anyway, there are merworms in, and I'm not going to take them out because the man wants merworms, so he's going to get merworms. which is fine. The rest of the list, double Skycutter. Oh, pardon me. Double Skycutter, probably the best parts of the list, being able to take Skycutters. Is there a... I can't remember. Is it like 0 to 1 per 1,000 points in Special? I don't think it says anything. I think you can just take them in Special, right? Because I feel like they're the best thing that you can do with your points. Although I guess, given that you're running 450 points of Merworms, there's limited points for Skycutters. But I would put another one in if I could. And then you've got the Seaguard, Ring at Razor Standard. PSA, like, I say this every time someone runs Lothland Seaguard. Razor Standard is bad. Let's do a quick bit of maths. You've got 30 models. Let's say that you're in a 6x5 or 5x6, whatever, it doesn't matter. I think actually 5x6 might be more shots. So if you're 5 wide and 6 deep, which is not the optimal way of doing it, so we'll just add some extra shots on the front. You've got 5 shots from the front rank, and then you've got 3 shots from each successive rank because of volley fire, assuming you haven't moved. So best case scenario, you're rocking what, like 20 shots? Let's call it 25. Let's just be generous. There's probably some formation where you get up to like 25-ish shots out of... I don't think there is. We're going to go with it anyway. 25 shots, let's say. Let's assume the only penalty you have is shooting at like long range. There's usually going to be like -1 to hit for ballistic skill shooting. There's probably going to be 1 minus in there. So you've got 12.5 hits from your shots. That means best case scenario, you're rolling 2 6s on average. If you've somehow managed to get 25 shots and you're hitting at only -1, you're getting 2 Armor Bane 2s on there. It's just not worth 40 points. Just Monster Hunter Tapestry is the correct choice to go for 9 times out of 10 on an infantry unit, because it makes them safe into the things that want to hunt them, basically. You've got Sword of Swiftness is one of the worst magic weapons in the game, unfortunately. These are not good stats to go for. If you're worried about protecting this character with magical attacks, I'd be more tempted to give it Ring of Fury, honestly, for Hammerhand, because you've got a single attack character. You're not really going to get anything out of it in combat, whereas Ring of Fury, at least, sure, it's a bound spell, power level 1, but if it goes off, you're going to be getting 2d3 strength 4 AP2 hits, so that gives you actual protection against Ethereal in a way that you don't realistically get from a magic weapon on a Shadow Walker. Given them ambushes, chariot runners, and feigned flight. I would not bother with chariot runners. I'm going to leave it on, actually. Wait, no. I don't think there's any need for chariot runners. So chariot runners lets you... okay, you can do shenanigans with this. Purely because you can block line of sight to the Skycutters, but the Skycutters can see through them. So it gives you protection against shooting, which is fine. I'd almost rather give them, like, Lawseeker's Cloak or something to give them defense against magic missiles, so your opponent doesn't clear them off if you're trying to screen the chariot. But sure, we'll leave it on. They can both ambush. Maybe they'll do something there. It'll give you some spice there. But we'll change the magic weapon over to the Ring of Fury. And then in terms of characters, what have we got here? Got a Griffin, Talisman of Protection, Seed of Rebirth. Yeah, good build here. That's a good one. Then we've got the Seaguard Garrison Commander. On foot, Battle Banner, Bow the Seafarer, Lawmaster's Cloak. Battle Banner's plus D3 combat res, right? I feel like for the sake of... If you're spending 60 points, I'd almost rather just go Banner of Resilience for the +1 toughness. And that should shake out as, like, Battle Banner gives you +2 combat res, but theoretically, if you're -1 to wound, which a lot of the time going from toughness 3 to toughness 4 will do for you, surely that's going to be at least 1 or 2 points of combat res back in your favor, if you think about it that way. I think it's a little hard to justify spending so much on the banner, but I'm a Banner of Resilience stan. T4 elves for life. I also played a game earlier today with a big brick of Swordmasters and completely forgot that I had the Banner of Resilience, and I played as if I was T3 for the entire game. Best 80 points I've ever spent. Battle Banner's overcosted. Yeah, well, yes, but only by about 10. So if we have sort of agreed that War Banner is worth 25, The rate for +2 combat res at 50 points feels pretty decent. This is more expensive, but then if you look at stuff like the equivalent for Dark Elves, which is cheaper, but theirs is only on the charge, if I remember correctly. I don't normally go for like +D3 combat res banners. I don't think they're a huge source of value. They're not something that I massively care about. But if you want to go for them, I think if you're paying for an expensive banner, it's probably this. I'm not sure what else I'd go for. I mean, maybe even stubborn on this unit. Probably not stubborn, but it gives you something. I think Skaven with yeah. There are factions that have got it better for sure. Both the Seafarer is fine on this character, and then Lawmaster's Cloak as well. I would want to give this character defensive stats. It's your BSB. Even if you were only running it for like the +1 +D3 combat res, I'd still want to give it defensive stats. So I think, okay, how are we doing this? Let's tweak this around. So you've got a Shy of S in the unit, and you've got the BSB. Cool. The unit champion here. Let's give the unit champion the Lawmaster's Cloak, so we can free up some points on the Garrison Commander BSB. That's where we're going to get some points from. As much as the Bow of the Seafarer is nice, I wonder if it's worth taking, because it's cumbersome, right? So you can't even shoot it as a stand and shoot. Would you just go like... Maybe it's just Armor of Calidor? And that is enough defensively. Armor of Calidor shield. You definitely want a weapon. Could give it a Spell Eater Axe. That could be where we get the magic resist from. Because you only have 3 attacks. Like, I think I like this setup more if you're trying to make the Lothan Sea Guard work. I think we might actually struggle a little bit on points here, because we do have to put 12 more points into the unit, and I don't know how we do that. I guess we can go to there, which gets us to just above minimum points cost. Veteran, yeah, okay. But then we're 10 points over. There's not like an easy way to drop 10 points, is there? There really isn't. Like, unless we drop to MR1 with Obsidian Lodestone, which is definitely in here somewhere. And then we'd have 5 points for Magic Weapon, which is super not inspiring. But you just really don't want the Garrison Command, your BSB, to die. Don't love any of this. I guess for the sake of it, just magical attacks. But understand that the Burning Blade is only there because I had 5 points left and not really sure what to spend it on. But yeah, this does highlight really the issues that Seaguard Garrison have, but especially also the Merworm. I think you can probably do something vaguely interesting with like Seaguard. I think you can, in fact, we don't have that many lists today. People are very much in their sort of full of enthusiasm but know where to put it era for Old World. If I was going to make the unit good, I think I really like the Seaguard Garrison Commander. I think that's... Sorry, not the Sea... I really like Shy of S. And then I do like the BSB. We'll come back to that in a second. But I think I'd also want like a Stormweaver, a level 3 Elementalism Stormweaver, like Lore Familiar, because you don't have the Blessing of Lilith, so you don't get the free reroll, which is so good. Which is one of the things that just makes this detachment so much worse. Your wizards are just so much worse. So Lore Familiar double power scroll for Elementalism is probably necessary, so you can Earthen Ramparts on the key turns, and TMP if you ever really, really need to get out of there. So then BSB, I think I stand by going for Banner of Resilience. If you're trying to do a Death Star, I think this is probably the way to do it. And then if I'm doing that, let's just go... Again, we're leaning on, especially with this list, if we're leaning on Earthen Ramparts, the actual weapon you have is kind of not too relevant because you're You're making one attack anyway. So the fact that it's strength user AP1 is incredibly whatever. And we're also going to give it the... Where's the armor gone? Armor of Calador. Yep. Yep. I would like to get a Ring of Fury on there as well. For a little bit more oomph, but it is what it is. Leadership. Everyone's going to be leadership 9, aren't they? That's fine. So this would be... I think this is a good amount of support for the unit. I don't know that you need any more support than this. I think this probably ticks the box enough. You could put... No, you can't even get them. Yeah, so then after that, I'm probably looking to run some sort of like solo character. Your core, assuming you're still capped at 500 points, so you're going, what, like 32 or something like that. Full command... Monster Hunter Tapestry, Lawmaster's Cloak. I still do like that here. 33 plus 3 characters. That's 36. 6x6. Although you're probably never sitting in 6x6. 6 wide is just generally bad for volley fire. You want to be an odd number wide. Then you can detachment. A Lothan Sea Guard. They're not okay. I was hoping that in the Sea Guard garrison, you could take Lothan Sea Guard as the parent unit with a detachment. Is it the warriors that are the parent unit? What are they called? I've clicked Shadow Warriors. Detachment is the... What's the word for it? Regiment and detachment. There we go. Huh. Maybe they are then. Okay. Good job I've got this open so I can I can go back and check the specific Sea Guard garrison rules. That I'm ashamed to admit do not have tattooed on my heart. So, units of Sea Guard, again the regimental unit, and then that means that I could take the ship's company as a detachment. Because I wonder... I mean, you'll have seen. I've ragged on detachments every time they come up. But I wonder if a small detachment of ship's company with bows that are off to the side, or ideally on a hill behind the Lothan Sea Guard, to just add more stand and shoot. Like, that is something that I could theoretically see doing pretty okay. Like, that's something that I think could work. And they can be skirmishes as well. And that kind of overwrites one of my big issues that I have with general elf archers. So be something like this. Go 12 of them. They don't count as a drop, which is one of the reasons that I'm coming around to detachments a little bit. And then you just go... Do we give them veteran? How much do we care about this? No, it's a pretty fire and... No, we'll go veteran, because it might just not be... No, it's always going to be near the general. It's going to be near the BSB. It's fine. It's fine. We're deliberately keeping it near the unit of Lothan Sea Guard, so we'll just live with that. We're not paying for the light armor, obviously. And then the Shadow Warriors, I would like a unit of ambushing Shadow Warriors. Honestly, I'd like to go up in, like, 6 with a unit champion. And then I guess we can drop some Sea Guard here to get closer to... Yeah. Okay, something like this. This would be my core. And then special, we're running triple Sky Cutters, 2 of which have ambush. But they don't have to be an ambush. We just have the flexibility to do that if needs be. And then... How many... it's not the 3 per 1,000 points, isn't it? Because you've got to do something else with the rest of the points. Now, I don't think bolt throwers are good. God, they're 80 points. They're so depressing. Yeah, it's probably just some sort of melee threat in the characters here. I think if I'm taking anything here... Is it a Dragon Prince or is it a Noble? I think it might be a Dragon Prince. Because the Dragon Prince is at least a behemoth, so it's got... sorry, Dragon Mage. Dragon Mage. Oh, no, I could... of course you can't take the Calador Honor. Of course you can't, because you're very restricted in Sea Guard. Because of course you are. Because it's Sea Guard. I feel like this is healthy for me to have to, like, relive how I feel about Sea Guard every few months. Just to remind me exactly how terrible they are. And we just go Seed of Rebirth, Talisman of Protection. And we don't need to give them anything else here. 325. We're still okay on points. We could make them... We can't make them a level 2 wizard, but that's okay. I don't think we need to. A Shire Vest is fine. Seaguard Garrison Commander. We could upgrade them to a longbow. I don't hate that. But you don't actually get anything from it, do you? In fact, it's worse because you're strength 4, so the warbow's actually better. And you'd be paying for -1 strength +1 armor bane. That is bad, so let's not do that. Let's not do that. Is there anything else that's worth running? I don't think there is. I don't think there's anything else that we need here. The Stormweaver, just rocking it. Lore Familiar to double power scroll. Yeah. I also wouldn't be opposed to not putting this character in the unit. This could hang out solo or with the ship's company or something like that. That doesn't have to join the unit necessarily, because that's where it's most vulnerable. We haven't bought any defensive items. What do we do with the last few points? It's not 1. I don't feel like it's 1, whatchamacallums. 1 bolt thrower. Maybe we just cut some points elsewhere. Really don't want to cut points elsewhere. I was wondering if we go like 2 units of ambushing. Shadow Warriors. You can have 1 for free, but then 1 unit can buy it anyway. And it's 90 points. What if it's like 2 units of 5? It's a little bit... 2 units of 6? Is there anything that I'd... Okay, if we go 2 units of 6 with no unit champions, and then we drop down to 30 models, that feels fine. Like, this feels like a list that kind of does the things that it wants to do. I don't think it's a good list, but I think if you're trying to maximize, like, the Seaguard angle, the problem is, you look at them and you go, oh, the thing you're maximizing is actually not good. That's the problem. Like, and it also doesn't play in this meta. Maybe post FAQ. If, I don't know how they'd do it, but if they could make ballistic skill shooting better, and they could make just infantry better, but in a way that's not like everyone's just running bricks of parry or Death Stars. Like, I've seen one of the suggestions that I saw was uncouple parry from hand weapon shield and just put it on put it on infantry units with close order, because, you know, historically that's why you were ranked up, you know, to protect your flanks and protect yourself from various angles, which makes you more defended because you've got people defensively to your left and right, yada yada. It would still rely on you having a shield, was the concept there. But then if you're using the spears, you're getting up to initiative 6 because you're 4 base +1 for the spears +1 for the elven reflexes, and you're fighting in 3 ranks, and you're doing your stand and shoot first. So you do your stand and shoot, and then you can... It's not drilled, is it, Naval Discipline? So redress the ranks, which is subtract or add up to 5 models from the front rank. So you could be... How wide would you want to go to make sure you're getting rank bonus with 33 models? I guess 11 is fine, as long as you end at 11. So you could start at 16 wide, and then, like, the threat is you're going to get multi-charged, but let's say you start at 16, you stand and shoot, you're hitting on 4s, so you're 8 hits, and then, like, best case scenario, going into T3. Let's say you're going into Empire Knights. You're T3, so you've got 16 shots, 8 hits, 4 wounds, which becomes 2 dead, which is fine. Honestly, the standard shoot goes, like, that's pretty solid if you're shooting into something like cavalry. I'm not upset at that. And then you'd reform back, and you'd have 3 ranks of 11, and assuming they all get to attack because you've got good movement and you've got the spears, you're then getting at the same initiative as them, so they would strike, but you'd still get to make all of your attacks. You're getting, what, 34 attacks? Let's just ignore the characters for a second. 34, hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s. 17, 8.5. and then it's another 4 dead. You kill 6 models. In that sort of game, I can see Seaguard working. It's just not the game that we're playing at the moment, but I kind of wish we were. That sounds like great fantasy. Sounds like old school fantasy, but I don't know if that's ever what fantasy has been competitively. That's the problem. So I think I've said this a couple of times recently. So far removed from previous editions now, especially because I stopped playing Warhammer when I was 18, I think it was. But I'd stopped playing fantasy a couple of years before that because my local scene. Well, I don't think I'd stopped, but I just hadn't got anywhere near as much play in with them. I think it was mostly just people wanted to play 40k, so that's what I was also playing. But I also wasn't competitive back then. So my memory of how the game played is probably the same as loads of people play Warhammer right now, which is just you bring the units that you have, you put them on the table, and dice are rolled. And there's kind of not really a lot of thought into it. It's just at the end, someone wins, and that was a fantastic time. I want to be clear, I'm in no way slating that off. That was a huge amount of fun back in the day. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's not how the game used to play competitively either, and maybe it's just the wishes of nostalgia of yesteryear. Ah well. There's a Seaguard Garrison list. Play it at your peril. I'm going to put it in the Fix My List channel, just because I know that if I don't, there'll be one person who's like, Seaguard Garrison, I want to play that. Link it to me. And to think if I'd gone to the pub to watch the football, I'd have missed watching another Seaguard list in real time. Sometimes you just got to play to a theme. I have actually been like pretty furiously cooking the last 4 or 5 days. But I don't want to reveal it yet because it's something that I think that I might be onto, but I just can't work out how to make the concept work. It leans on rumors of something that's going to be nerfed. Basically, so the theoretically entrenched is going to get nerfed. The sapper ability for dwarves. I was like, okay, cool. How do we make dwarves work if we don't have the immunity to combat units like dragons that they have currently from the front? So I've been playing around with that, and I think the concept is good, but I've got to wait. I don't think it works right now. I've got to see what the meta is like post FAQ to work out what the hell's going on. But I am actually, which I haven't done for a little while. I'm sat at home cooking lists, my personal lists, not in this web. Internet browser. I have 3 different internet browsers that I use for different things. One for my YouTube stuff, one for screen sharing Old World Builder, and then one for just browsing the internet. It's in my Chrome. Anyway, it's full up of just like half-finished dwarf lists with names like maybe this one and Longbeards ? So yeah, I want to play some dwarves. Was the short version of that. New tech, noise. It's not something I've seen anyone talk about either, so I really don't want to sort of spoil it ahead of time in case I can come up with something spicy and go there. Warhammer List is the only place where trickle-down economics works. True. Based and true. I like that. That sounds like a shirt. If I was organised enough to have merch, that would be a shirt. But alas, I've not done that. All right, cool. Let's look at... I saw Jimbo in chat a little while ago, before I went on a double Seaguard, journey of discovery. Hopefully Jimbo's still here. We've got Jimbo's Mortuary Cult list, and I actually played against this, or at least a version of this, recently. And by recently, I mean this morning. And this morning, I mean this is the list that I played against when I forgot that my big brick of, sword masters were toughness 4, which would have really helped because they kept taking wounds from these skeleton skirmishers. So if they'd been wounded on 5s, I'd have been much happier, that's for sure. Okay, so the general premise is, he put some notes in chat. I feel like I know what he's going to be talking about, but I should read it anyway. So, it says, Hi Ed, please can you fix my list to a full violence version? I will lose the casket and all the shooting for a version that smashes as hard as possible while retaining the benefits of Mortuary Cult. An idea I had to buff the Death Star further is another unit nearby with a Sigil of Centuries banner -1 initiative, 6 inches from standard, possibly for a use for, dare I say, skeleton horseman. Would be nice to fit an amulet of the serpent for poison. Okay, so this is mortuary cult, and the reason it's mortuary cult is because you get stuff in there that buffs up nicely. So your mortuary priests have more consistency with their casting. They've got various bits and pieces. I like where you've gone with this, where you've tried to use initiative as the buff. So the whole build kind of plays around with using, nope, not that one, Immortal Overseer, which is giving your unit plus D3 initiative, and then also the Tomb Prince using My Will Be Done to give them plus D3 initiative. The premise is getting them up to an average of characters are up to initiative 7, I guess, and then all of the infantry's up to initiative 6. The problem is that's not actually that fast. And also, if you play against someone who's playing elves, for example, you'll just be like, oh, it doesn't work. Is there a way to lower initiative then? Because you mentioned that there was a banner that does that. Standard of the Cursing Word, was it? No, it wasn't Standard of the Cursing Word. I can't remember what the name of the standard was. Sigillus entries. There we go. -1 to initiative. So making the enemy -1 to initiative. I guess, let's consider whether the premise works before we all in on it. So the premise is, you charge me and I hit you with my stuff first. But I'm trying to buff up undead, which is a problem. How do we get there? What can we do to get there? There's an elementalism spell as well. That is technically true, Jimbo, but that spell is heinously bad because it's only 12-inch range, so it's almost impossible to get off. Yeah, no, it's woeful. I wouldn't mess around with that. So if I just go initiative, Control F, there is Sigillus Sentries is the only initiative item in the game here. Okay, we can open that one up for later. We'll come back to that one in a second. What is it? Okay, so I think what we want to do. Oh, let me be able to type. Is there any way to make your opponents have a disordered charge? So disordered charges come from unable to align. So that's... Is there a way that you can set up disordered charges that people will still go for them? I think that's going to be very difficult, because then also you're not going to be in base to base. But I guess it's not the end of the world, because you could get your value out of the spectral doppelgangers and not worry too much about characters. So with this list as it stands, you could go double spectral doppelganger here and here, because the settlement spells don't need to be in base to base, they just need to be in the fighting rank. And you still get all your hits. And then you could also go like the Arch Necrotect into the challenge with the Cackling Blade, so that they're getting their full average of 6.5 attacks. That feels okay, I guess. But I just don't think that's something that you can easily set up. So this is now taking me back to how I used to play around with 40k lists. I'd sit on Warharpedia and I'd be like, Control F. Disordered. So what I'm looking for here is there any way to make opponents have a disordered charge? Obviously, there's demons and there's dwarves that can do that. Yeah, I don't think there's any items that can give opponents disordered charges. Does anyone know of one? If you are aware of one, please do shout up in chat, because that will make this actually work. Whereas I think if we can't make them disordered, I don't think it works. Because if we're only getting to an average of initiative 7, and that's with double leadership and with 2 sets of D3s, which can spike low, getting to initiative 7, there's a lot of stuff in the game that has initiative 4. And all characters, or most characters, are going to strike first. So I think if we can't get disordered, I don't think the initiative premise works. At which point, we probably want to tool around with it and change things, right? That would be That would be what I would say. I do want to go. What should we cult? You also. No, you had the correct amount. This is fine. This is fine. Yeah. Okay. I think we probably have to scrap the initiative idea. I think it just doesn't work. There's nothing in here that has like a natively high initiative, is there? High Priest of 3, High Priest of 2. Oh, High Priest being 2 is really bad because that's where theoretically most of our damage is coming from. So on average, they're only getting up to 6, which is not it at all. Effective initiative 8 of another within 6 of the order banner. Sure, but then like I think we're really throwing bad money after good to do that, because I think there is just better things we can do to make. I think you can play this list, but I think you just don't do it around initiative. I think that's where the flaw's coming in. So let's start off by just dropping. We'll drop everything, and then we'll like try and tool out the characters. Get down here. So we need a prince, that's for sure. And then we also want Necrotects. I think one of the things we can do is we can lean on the Necrotects to be our sort of like frontline defense. And it's a lot of AP0 attacks, but the strikes first of the whip, when you've got 2 attacks baseline and you're going triple Necrotects, if all 3 of your Necrotects go off, they are providing 15 attacks that reroll hits and are strength 4 AP0. That's not good into everything, but that gives you like an amount of oomph to try and kill models in the front line. So even if we're going into something like what would be realistic, like a unit of Longbeards charges you, and they've decided to use great weapons because they're on the charge. You're going to make 15 attacks into them first, hitting on 4s, rerolling. So that's just shy of 12. And then you're wounding on 4s, so just shy of 6, and then they've got a 5-up save, so you're killing like 3 to 4 models. Like, that feels pretty useful. I think if you're playing around with trying to kill your opponent when they charge you, the triple Necrotech whip loadout is like the way to do it. That feels right to me. And then maybe you double down on that. Like, what items are there that give you strikes first? I feel like, and I could be wrong, I feel like there is a strikes first item in the magic item. Yeah, there we go. Crook and Flail of Radiance. Like, maybe we go with a character with the Crook and Flail of Radiance, and then if you put it on a priest, you're strength 4 natively, you're only AP 1, but you're getting plus 2 attacks here, so you're going up to 5, and then you're going up to 8 attacks, rerolling. So, like, this does what you were trying to do, but instead of playing around with initiative for the whole unit, you're just going, my characters at the front will do their job. And I think that is just a more effective version of this. It does worry me a little bit that the Tomb Prince has not got any defensive items. So maybe we put it on the Arch Necrotect, actually, because they can have more points, right? We could go Crook and Flail. What can we give them defensively? I guess it's just like Armor of Meteoric Iron for a 5-up save that won't be reduced. Then you've got a 5-up and a 5-up regen. That's about as good as you're getting. I think that feels okay. And then the Tomb Prince. I think the Tomb Prince wants defensive items because it's providing the weapon skill buff / the movement buff. It feels like it's a fairly strong piece of the whole build. So maybe we give it a flail, so you can go hand weapon. No, flails are two-handed. Of course they are. In my head, I was thinking of the... why is it only Bretonians that can have Morning Stars? Not that Morning Stars are particularly amazing. So maybe we look at going... Is it Warding Splint, maybe? Or is it important to give the Warding Splint to the level 4 wizard? Okay, we'll fill out the rest of the build first. Do we care heavily? How much do we care, realistically, about having Spectral Doppelganger? I think it adds more oomph. But I don't feel like it necessarily synergizes super well with the way the the build sets up. You had double Spectral Doppelganger. I don't know that you need double. I think maybe single Spectral Doppelganger feels pretty decent. So maybe we just go level 3 High Priest, and we go Law Familiar, because we want to make sure we're definitely getting it. We go Warding Splint to make sure that our wizard isn't just falling over, because then you got a 5-up, 5-up, 5-up. The armor save can go away, but it's still, better than nothing. And then we give them the Serpent Staff, because then you've just got a great weapon, which is pretty valuable. You've still got 5 attacks, assuming all of the Necrotects go off, which will be, weapon skill, probably weapon skill 4, re-rolling hits, so you're still getting decent value out of this as a melee character, even if you fail to cast Spectral Doppelganger. I guess we don't have points for anything else in here. So, yeah. You could also go Potion of Speed, but I don't know... No, because that falls off at the end of your turn, so that's not actually good. Is there anything in here that's worth doing? Scroll of Withering is just generally, strong. Because you can... Oh, there we go. There's another way to lower their initiative. Although I still think even with Scroll of Withering, you maybe just don't lean into that too heavily. Summoning for the heal plus the extra regen, I don't hate at all. This feels pretty okay. Awakening is very expensive for a magic missile. Or is it a once per... These are all once per game, aren't they? Yeah. That's how that works. Scarlet Outcast dead. Vortex. Urgency is double move. I don't hate the double move, honestly. That feels fine. Let's just leave it like this for now. And your High Priest's job is to mess things up. And then, what do we got elsewhere? You said you wanted to get rid of the casket. That's fine. We can get rid of. And then you also want to get rid of the shooting. I think the Skeleton Skirmishes are fine. The Ushabti probably goes away. But the Skeleton Skirmishes just feel solid. Honestly, the Ushabti I think are decent. But maybe you want to pair them with... Normally you want to pair them with an Elementalism caster, but we've got the High Priest, so I don't think there's a way of doing that. This unit, I think maybe we just really lean into the advantage that we have here, in that they're super cheap, and we make them a real big unit, and you just get to have as many as possible. What do we give the unit champion? That's the question. Don't know if there's anything they need to have. I don't hate a Charm Shield. It could be Charm Shield, Obsidian, Lodestone. We'll come back to that. Because it might be that we don't need necessarily to put the MR on this unit here. Okay, what are we missing then? We're missing Mortuary Priests. Probably want 2. 1 to give Jaff's Curse Blades and 1 to give Reserve Move. Or we could just go for the Banner of Reserve Move. Is that better? I feel like the Banner of Reserve Moves may be better. We could go for the Banner of +1 Weapon Skill, which would get the Warriors up to Weapon Skill 4. And we'd get the Prince up to 6 and the Necrotect up to 5. I don't think that's breakpoints that matter massively. So let's not worry about that too much. So BSB... Click the wrong thing, haven't I? There we go. Yeah, BSB, what standard do we want to go with? -1 to be shot doesn't matter because we're undead, so we can just res all of our wounds. It's probably just Banner of the Desert Winds. It's such a... You'd like Poison ideally. Yeah, absolutely. I think we can definitely fit that in. We want to make the Mortuary Priest durable. We want this character to not die. Faux show. Which is... It might literally just be Talisman of Protection. Yeah, I guess that's it. Talisman of Protection, and I don't think there's anything else for 20 points that I want to put on here. I don't hate an Earthing Rod. Jaff's Curse Blades could be the first thing you cast. It's all kind of just fine. None of it's particularly... Yeah. No, I don't think there's anything else we need to put on this model. So then we'd go... still chuck them in Illusion. Or maybe Necromancy. Because you're never taking Glittering Robes, right? Because you're always taking it on the High Priest. So you could go Necromancy, and most of the time you just swap into Jaff's Curse Blades, but you'd maybe get Deathly Cabal. which gives you a 6-up ward save, which is fine. You're not upset at the 6-up ward save, and it's pretty castable. You can cast it in combat. Cast on an 8. Yeah, that feels okay, I think. And then I probably want one more Mortuary Priest for the sake of your rezzing is so good, but maybe it doesn't have to go in the unit. We'll come back to you. Okay, what do we do with the Tomb Prince? I'm a big fan of the Great Weapon build, but we've got no one to bounce wounds onto, so I think we've already kind of used the obvious defensive items. So, could be Icon of Fortitude. We don't need to really be immune to multiple wounds. Turning off Fly is really nice for this style of list. That's funny, but not good. That's pretty mid. Flailess Skulls isn't bad. With the amount of attacks you get, Flailess Skulls is pretty interesting. But you wouldn't be striking first a lot of the time. And if you're going into something that's multiple wounds, like a dragon, and you don't have a herald to bounce wounds onto, I think you just die. I think it's not that. I don't know how to set this character up because we've used our defensive items kind of already. Armor of Silvered Steel, great weapon. It's pricey, but it you know, it does a job. Gets you a 3-up save. You still got a 5-up regen. Sure, I think. Sure, let's go with that, and then we'll go with another Mortuary Priest who's level 1, so that way we can go... What do we need another Mortuary Priest for? What do we need another Mortuary Priest for? Because you're not taking reserve move, so you don't care about that. You're already getting Jaff's Curse Blades. You don't need Desiccation. It's not a bad hex, to be fair. Maybe it's just a second chance at Glittering Robes, in case you fail it. How important is that? That doesn't feel super important. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that's the most important thing to worry about. So maybe you just bring it for, like, being a caddy for the Amulet of the Serpent for the magical attacks. And then go Illusion, so we can go double Glittering Robes if you need to. Sure. I'm not 100% sold on that as a... But I think having another wizard is good. I'm just not... Given that you're Mortuary Cult and how valuable your rezzing is by having another one. Maybe this one just goes on a horse. Like, maybe that's the answer here. But then, if they're on a horse, they don't put the poison in the unit, so that doesn't work. Okay, let's get rid of it, and let's just put the... Where have you gone? Amulet of the Serpent. Amulet of the Serpent just goes on one of the neck protects, and we just live with that, and that's fine. And then you've got poison attacks throughout the unit. And I guess we just shave some points there. So then you got a big unit of warriors. We've got a couple of units of skirmishers. I'd go a bit bigger, I think, given that we can, and we don't necessarily have all of the access to defenses that we want. Then I guess skeleton horse archers are, like, incredibly okay. Wait, hold on. Necroserpents don't have reserve move built in, do they? No, they don't. There's nothing... what's the wording on Mortuary Cult for what you can pull from Sepulchral Animus? It's... swarms, of course. Swarms. I think a unit of swarms to fly behind them would be very good, because we need something to pull wounds from. So if we just go for the swarms and we get rid of the horse archers, and then we realise that actually we don't want to spend that many points on core, we're just going to go back down. It's like 2 units of 12, and then 58. Yes, there we go. That feels better. Honestly, you probably won't use them much, but given the volume of attacks that you're going to be bringing with this unit, let's pay for the spears, plan not to use them, but if you do need to use them, jobs are good. You still get 49 plus all the characters. That feels pretty solid. Tomb Swarms. Ooh. In my head, they had Fly. They're going to struggle to keep up. God damn. What do we do to have something that's mobile? I don't think there is anything that's mobile, right? It's swarms, monstrous infantry, monstrous cavalry, monstrous creature behemoth. I mean, let's put the swarms in for now, and we'll come back and fix it if we need to. My immediate thought was it's double Necrosphinx, right? Necrosphinxes are just generally solid. Being able to, they can fly so they can keep up. You can pull wounds from them if you need to. I'd rather not, but if it's a do or die spell, double Necrosphinx. Scorpions can be taken from. The problem is the Scorpions won't ever keep up, and they come in. Well, I mean, I guess you from Beneath the Sands. I need to remind myself of the timing. I know we literally had it. We talked about it earlier, but in my head, From Beneath the Sands is the wrong time. Yeah, so this does come in the command phase. So you can, like, summon them in and then cast, but I still, like, I'd rather have something that can keep up, which is these two units here. So we're 62 points over, which I think would be, I guess we drop a Tomb Scorpion. Like, I'd rather go, maybe it's just one Necrosphinx, and then you go more on the Tomb Scorpions, because you can go pretty unlimited amounts of them, right? So if we go 4 Tomb Scorpions and 1 Necrosphinx, we're 21 points over. We're only 4 points over here. We're not dropping anything in characters. Like, Armor of Silvered Steel is a little over the top, but I really don't want him to die. I wonder if it's literally just you drop that and you accept that maybe you just go Charm Shield and you don't fall over. And you've got enough good, like, attacks in here that you kind of whatever. We haven't taken the Cackling Blade this time round, but I think with all of the extra attacks you're getting, you're better off just getting a better, like, either something that's higher value, like the Serpent Staff is +2 strength, +2 AP, so that's just better in that way, and it's cheaper, so it fits in the build. And then the Crook and Flail of Radiance, even though the weapon itself is kind of, like, pretty crap, it's only AP 1. The volume of attacks you're getting with the Strikes First, I think, plays into what we want to do here. Yeah, okay, and then I guess we can just go back up to a unit of 14 and a unit of 12. I'd rather have the unit of 14 with the one that starts on the board, not the one that's off the board. Like that. Yeah, something like that would be the way that I tweak around with this, I think. I'm not 100% sold on the special, but I think honestly, like, it feels like the unit is kind of cracked, so that's the bit that's more difficult to get, and you can kind of tool around with the rest, which would work reasonably well. Going for more Scorpions does mean that you've got the ability to just bring them in on tap. Like, I need to leadership. It's very important that I cast Earthen Ramparts this turn. I guess I better summon a Scorpion to keep up. All right, cool. Sweet. So there's at least one more High Elf list. I thought there were two. Oh no, there's a Wood Elf list. There's a High Elf list and a Wood Elf list. I think let's treat ourselves to. We've looked at in the last 3 lists. 2 of them have been High Elves. You're welcome, Jimbo. Let's have a look at the Wood Elf list, which is Host of Taliesin, Dan's Wargames. Hopefully it's not too late to submit. Here's a square-based comp Host of Taliesin list. So it is okay. First point of order, this build is very good. This is a very good build, but it's missing the Resplendent Luminescence. I see that you've got it on the Glade Captain. I'm not sure why. Is the goal here to just run around and hunt stuff? I guess it does that job pretty well. And then is the Crown of Antlers, was it 1 impact hit? Oh no, it's D3 impact hits, Armor Bane 1, and they're at AP 2. It's only Strength 4. Remember that impact hits use your unmodified strength, so the impact hits will only be Strength 4, AP -2. Unless there's something weird that this doesn't count as modifying your strength and toughness, which I'm fairly certain it does. But, yeah, okay, so Spellweaver, Talisman of Tattoos for the ward save, Law of the Wild, Oaken Stave. Fine. Glade Captain. BSB with no banner. Hagbane Tips, Charm Shield. I am not sure where the strength comes through here. I do like the 2 units of Dryads with Ambush, actually. That's not something that I see a lot of people doing. Not that I look at a lot of Host of Talisman lists. So this here feels pretty good. I think, unfortunately, everything here I don't feel like does anything. You can slow them down, but I feel like you're tying them up, but not in. I really get frustrated by Treekin and Tree Men because the job they want to do is to tie something up indefinitely and just make them get through their toughness. And they kind of, like, as monsters go, I talk a lot about how you've got to have at least a second save. And Tree Men do have that. And I think they're overpriced for what they do. And they hit kind of really badly. I feel like you just need Unbreakable. I feel like that's the thing that you need here to make a Tree Man go from being kind of like whatever to suddenly like, you know what, I'll give it a go. Like that to me would be the change. I wonder, is there scope for a Tree Man Ancient? You do lose 2 attacks. You gain a wound. You gain a weapon skill. You don't gain any strength, which is very frustrating. I feel like you should go up to strength 6. And you're a level 1 wizard. No, you're a level 2 wizard. You start at 2, which is a weird amount to start at, but, you know, whatever. There's no Unbreakable. You can't have high magic, so you can't cast Unbreakable on them. Can you have high magic on the Spellweaver? You can. But I feel like that doesn't actually do much. So what's the Law of the Wild's game plan here? What are we trying to do with this wizard? The signature spell for Mark of Nurgle against shooting. Sure. I feel like you're not going to die necessarily to ballistic skill shooting, but I'm not opposed to having it. You're probably more likely to take tree singing than anything else. Fury of Athelren is a genuinely good magic missile. Like, I do like this. There's no shade there. Ariel's Blessing to give a unit a regen save it's not bad, but it's a little frustrating because if you want to layer saves on stuff, I feel like a ward save would be better for Wood Elves because they do have regens in quite a few places. Although you can put it on your dragon at least, so that's cool. The Vortex, which is enemy units, sure. Dirtha's Wrath, which is great or kind of incredibly mediocre, no middle grounds. Reserve move. I guess that goes on like the Glade Guard. And then Sapping Blight, which is a 12-inch range hex that is minus strength. I'm not sure what the job of this level 3 wizard is, other than to be like, I'm here. I feel like if you're doing this, is it better to go like high magic and ethereal? Like if you're trying to make a unit, like sit in the middle of the board and make a unit hard to deal with, maybe it's that, but then you haven't got Oaken Stave. Like high magic, even just for drain magic, feels like it synergizes well with the Oaken Stave. Fiery Convocation is whatever. It's better than it has been because of the meta. Tempest is nice into specifically... Well, I guess there's a few armies it's nice into. A mediocre assailment spell, a mediocre... and 2 mediocre buffs. So maybe it's not high magic. It's probably just elementalism. Like level 4 elementalism feels like maybe it just adds more to your game plan. Because if you roll TMP, you're happy. If you roll Plague of Rust, you're happy because you're going to try and do some shooting. Although Hagbane Tips is, I think, not where I would go. Poison is not what it used to be. I feel like en masse it's still probably fine, but I'd be tempted just to go... Yeah, I don't know. Just, in general, it's frustrating to look at Wood Elf shooting. Okay. Okay. What have I put in that's added to points here? I'm not sure what I've increased. Did I click anything? I didn't think I'd put anything on. Was the list always this many points? Oh, yes, I changed it from a level 3 to a level 4 wizard. Okay. Good timing. Thanks, Thaddeus. Like the Eternal Guard, giving the Eternal Guard a regen does give them a little bit of staying power, but I don't feel like it does much for them, you know? Banner Midsummer's Eve? Why is this not... There we go. Oh, Banner Midsummer's Eve. That's the ignore cover. So poison and ignore cover, I'm sure. Okay. If we're going magical attacks, I don't think it's the Glade Captain that I want them on. I can see why you've gone with it, but I feel like you just put it on the dragon, and then it can just be multi-purpose. The Glade Captain build's not terrible. The extra impact hits. It means you can go in to a unit, and you're doing an average of 3 impact hits because of the stag as well. So then you can do, let's say, 2 wounds there if you're like minorly lucky. And you also have your great weapon attacks, of which you have 3. So you're getting like 4 combat res on average, assuming you get challenged out. Which is not bad if you're supporting the dragon, but on its own it's not enough. So given that it's not enough, I wonder if I even care about giving it the Crown of Antlers, you know? I wonder if it's just better to do something else. But I don't know what I want to do elsewise. That's kind of the problem. Wailing Arrows. No, not Wailing Arrows. What's the one I'm thinking? Hail of Doom Arrows. There we go. Strength 4 hits. I was wondering about Hail of Doom Arrows in terms of stand and shoot, whether that made it appealing, but I don't think it does. I don't think it does, unfortunately. Okay. I'm kind of just like apart the dragon's good. The dragon makes sense. I'm just not sure what your what's winning the game for you here. Because I think it's only the dragon that is going to punch up or punch equally to its weight. I think having a Dispel Focus Wizard is absolutely fine. I'm not opposed to that. I think I'd rather go High Magic than anything else, because that gives you the flex of going into Drain Magic, but you then don't get a Tree Singing, which is quite a good defensive spell anyway, so maybe it's not worth doing. I'll just leave it on the Lord of the Wilds, but that's what I'm thinking about anyway. I would be tempted to give it a Kindred, you know, because you're joining it to... I don't know what you're joining them to, honestly. You've got characters here that can join characters, but I'm not sure where they're joining. I'd be tempted to go with, like, Eternal Kindred or whatever on the infantry one in melee, but also I'm not sold that 13 points per model for a T3 4-up save model is worth what you get from it. Weapon skill 5 is legit, but I'm not sure that anything else that it brings is worth what you're paying for. I know you have to bring some. It's or I think you have to bring some anyway. Isn't Eternal Guard like a 1+ in the Host of Taliesin? Let's have a look. 1+ unit of Eternal Guard. Yeah. Like if you want something tanky, you can't make a captain the whatchamacallit, can you? The Glamour Weave Kindred. That's mages only. So you can't get a BSB into the unit, which sucks, because then you can't do Monster Hunter Tapestry. But if you want something tanky, I'd be tempted to just go with a Brick of Dryads, and then even like a Branch Wraith level 1 with Glittering Robes, I feel like is, if you want something to stand on a point, I like that unit more. You're spending so many points on something that's so mid, and I don't see where the rest of the what you can put in to win the game with the rest of the units. Like there isn't overwhelming firepower. There's only one dragon. The infantry core that you're playing around is not solid, so it won't hold for a long time, and like take your opponent a long time to get points out of it, in the way that something like Chaos Dwarves, where you're like, hey, my infantry's not going to get its money worth, but it's going to take my opponent a long time to kill them while my stuff goes round, or I can bring my monsters into support. I don't feel like that works here. You can't bring the Treekin and the Treemen to bear easily. And I just feel like it's double dragon. I think if you're going to do anything, it has to be double dragon. So I think it just... Maybe we don't even, like, link the completed post. Maybe I just link the timestamp for this one. But I think if you want power with Wood Elves at above 2,000 points, double dragon at least makes sense. Also, I've only just realized how much you've spent in core. That is... It makes me a little bit sick. Because I think the Wood Elf core in this regard is so underwhelming. I would say still go cat. What do we got? So we can go up to 491 points. Can I give them the Armor of Destiny? 494. So we drop the aspect of the cat. Okay, sure. So then we've got this, and then you've still got your defensive caster, like so. Lord of Spellweaver, too many. Ah, bollocks. Yep. No. That's true. That is true. Okay, so I'm just gonna completely retweak this. I like these two units of Ambush and Dryads, actually. These are good. I am in favor of them. I do need to double check. Is it just any units can have Ambush? Yes. I missed it, actually. Did the Tree Man have Ambush? No. Like, maybe... I mean, it's so expensive and it's so slow that I don't... Maybe having Ambush is what makes a Tree Man worth playing. Like, honestly, maybe that's actually the answer to how do you make a Tree Man worth putting into your list. Maybe that's the... what I'm sort of missing here. Yeah, let's go with that. And then... Eagles, I think Eagles don't do the job you want them to. They don't necessarily win fights into to cannons in the current game. We can come back and address that in a second though. Eternal Guard, you did have them with... Honestly, you had the whatchamacallit on here before. Arch Lightning Rod. I don't hate that. Like, maybe you just go 5 Arch Lightning Rod and Veteran. So you'd go up to like 12. So you're just like, you're holding the objective. But you're just trying to stay safe and also use your... They probably deploy in marching column, you know? It's a very pricey unit. God, this is a pricey unit. Oh, I hate this so much. Maybe just go back to 5. 5 for 110 points is steep, but at least, you know, it kind of is what it is. I think the tree can go away. I don't think they, unfortunately, add to the game plan much. Maybe we put them back in. I don't know how I feel about that. I am not opposed to an oaken stave. I know it's only an 18-inch, sorry, a 21-inch range oaken stave here, but you're still, like, it's still pretty decent magic defense. Like, I don't hate that at all. And then I probably would just go high magic, something like that, so I can take drain magic and just really double down on it, or go tree singing in a matchup where I really need the tree singing. I think that makes the most sense to me. Not being able to take any Glade Riders, I think, sucks. And what else do we put in? Like, I almost feel like we just go for a bigger unit of... Because you can go like a... Oops, that's not it. That is not it. You go like a branch wraith, then a unit of dryads with a nymph. Don't need ambushes on them. Let's go like... They're heavy infantry, aren't they? Dryads must be heavy infantry. Regular infantry. Gosh darn it. 19 of them. I know I said that spending this much on core made me sick, but I might come back to it. I might tweak this around. Like, I don't know that these need to be 12. Like, one of the units could be smaller. Like, this could be a unit of 8, for example. Like, that feels still pretty good. One unit of 12 is like a backup scoring unit. One unit of 8 is just like, I'm going to come in and mess up with your baggage train and deal with you and still have enough models to not worry. And I cause immune psychology and I have immune psychology and I'm T4 with a regen. So, yeah, that feels okay. That feels okay. And then the question is, what the hell do we do with the rest of the points? Like, I think the tree man with ambush is fine. And right now we have 3 drops in that we've got the dryads, we've got the eternal guard, which are just going to hide, and then we've got the double dragon plus rest of characters. What the hell do we do with 360 points? Could go for more scoring, but meh. I don't hate the Deepwood Scouts. If you wanted shooting, I don't hate the Deepwood Scouts. It does give us another drop. That puts us on 4. And I'm considering doing another unit as well. But, yeah. Maybe it's just this. Like a unit of 12 and then a special unit of 12 as well. Like so. With... What did I go with? True Flight arrows? Honestly, you change up the... change those up if you want to. What am I missing here? These do have shields built in, don't they? Nope. Needs to give them shields. Oh, you didn't even have shields on your Eternal Guard, right? No, you had shields but didn't have Veteran, I think. That was it. So then, just need to drop 1 Triad. Well, Dan, I don't like it. I do not like it, but this is where I've ended up with your list. We were talking for a while. Roughly 1 hour, 30 mins in. So I think this is one where the discussion is more important than the actual list that I'm posting. And we do also have one Fancy Lads High Elves who also has enough text that I can't fit it in my notes. I gotta go and check it manually. Okay, so one Fancy Lad says, I think I got the file format correct this time. Hell yeah. I have an event at the end of the month. Nice. Leaning into White Sword Prince. Okay. They're not sure on the rest of the list. This version is White Line themed, but one I've also debated a Swordmaster version. All infantry at unit strength 10 plus will counter scoring 2. Okay, great. That makes this list suddenly have play. Cool. So, if you're doing that, you've got a chariot, you've got a griffin, and you've got a foot character. Cool. I think if we're doing if we're doing a Death Star, I think you want to have, realistically, ideally, you want to have 2 characters in there supporting them. I think you want a BSB, and I think you also want a wizard. And the wizard can either go battle magic for the ward save, or you could go double wizard. You could go double wizard. So you could go battle magic for the ward save, you could go illusion for glittering robes and a little bit more punch with spectral doppelganger, or you could go high magic for walk between worlds. I think all of those are fine. I would be tempted to go like level 1 mage, or level 2 mage, let's say. Let's see if we can make this work. Level 2 mage. And we go Tracian Hunter, free Great Blade. We want to give them defensively Seed of Rebirth, and we give them the Lore Familiar. I know you've got Lore Familiar on already. We're just going to swap this over. So this caster's entire job is to cast Oaken Shield, and then also take Fireball, so that when your opponent decides not to mess with your big unit of White Lions, you can just Fireball them in the face. And that is value. That's fine. Then we've got this one, who has to become a level 4 wizard. Level 4 wizard. We drop the Law Familiar, which is down here, and we go for the Silvery Wand to get a 5th spell, and then we cross our fingers and we hope that we get either of the spells that you want. You can either go Glittering Robes from Illusion, or you can go High Magic. I feel like if you're not going heavy into it, Illusion is a little bit better, purely because it's safer. Warp Between Worlds is kind of cool, and honestly, with your reroll, the Lilith's Blessing, your chance of getting it off is surprisingly high. However, you've got a 1 in 6 to not roll it, which means that I would expect at one of the... I'd expect at one of the tournaments, one of the games at the tournament you go into, to not get Walk Between Worlds, and then just be majorly sad. So, and also, like, the other spells in the lore kind of have anti-synergy in a way, in that, you know, you're like, oh, Shield of Safri, get a ward save. Oh, I've already got Oak Shield, which is just a ward save, but it's good. So, yeah. I'd also want to see a Seed of Rebirth on this character as well. How are we doing on points? We are well over. Okay. Well over. Loving the list of new rules? Nice. Yeah, they're pretty fun, I think. Okay, so Noble BSB War Banner. I don't hate this as like just something that flies around and is annoying. This build is good, but you have to give it Pure of Heart. Well, I don't think you have to, but you should give it Pure of Heart. Very nice. And then we've got the Prince here. 118 points too many. It's going to be hard to trim back. You've gone for a Great Blade. 3. And you've also gone White Sword, Dragon Helm, Seed of Rebirth. Okay. You're capped at a 3-up armor save, right? Because you're not infantry. So this doesn't actually stack in the way you want it to, unless you're just saying, oh, you're not taking a shield. Okay, so you're just saying that you're going to have a 3-up armor save all the time. That's fair enough. Seed of Rebirth, and what does the White Sword do again? Like, it's not bad, but I just feel like with 4 attacks and no built-in like rerolls or anything like that, you're just not, and also you're never going to be able to like get the charge because you're on an 8-inch move chariot. Like, what monster is going to stand within 14 inches of you and allow you to charge? One that is confident it can kill you without dying, I think is the answer there. So I would say Seed of Rebirth, Dragon Helm, and then you really want a ward save. Like, you never want to run around without a ward save on your characters. So we'll drop the Dragon Helm, just go Armor of Calidor, give you a shield as well. Okay, so we're still 75 points too many. Is there a way to drop that? I feel like we're kind of as cheap as we can go here. I don't really want to drop your characters. Maybe we just have to go back to 1 wizard, which feels a little bit rough, I think, but, you know, is what it is. Maybe you just don't run the Noble on Griffin. Although I think, honestly, I like the Noble on Griffin more than I like the Prince on Chariot. For a comparable amount of points, you're a little bit less killy on the Noble, depending on whether or not you get the impact hits. Honestly, if you don't get the impact hits, I think the Noble might be more killy. But then the +2 combat res from the BSB is just, it's money in the bank. It's really, really good. So we could drop the Ruby Ring of Ruin, which I don't really want to do, but like if we're just trying to make this work in terms of points, can we put the Noble on foot? Yeah, so we absolutely could. And the Noble, like, if I was doing this, I would be like, okay, Noble, foot, drop that, and go... Banner of Resilience. Now we've got toughness for elves, and we're just playing around the Death Star. That would be the way that I would tweak it. But I don't necessarily... fuck it, we'll just do that. I was going to say I don't know if I want to tweak around with his unit too much, but for the sake of it, let's just say... Let's do it. Still having... Honestly, at that point, I'd probably change the Prince over to a Griffin. I think, like, as fun as it is to have the Chariot, I think it's probably just go for the Griffin. Fly around and have, like, a mid-size beater that's mobile. I like the Chariot more thematically, But I think just in terms of actually getting the model where you want it to go, maybe it's the Griffin is just more consistent there. We'd have to go great weapon like that. Although I don't love this character setup. Like I kind of feel like you just want a dragon, right? I don't want to just like put a dragon in because I'm assuming that he hasn't put a dragon in for a reason. All I've done is sort of tweaked around with the existing in. But I would say if you want to do anything, 500-point dragon, 500 points of support, and just make that fit. You probably don't fit the Banner of Resilience in if you're doing that, but like, you know, a cheap BSB on foot or something like that could do the job as well. Where was I going with this? Yeah, this all looks fine. Cool. And then core, spending a lot on core for an army with bad core. And then the sisters as well. Okay. So we need to shave 50 points, and I think it all just comes from core realistically. So honestly, maybe it's just you drop 2 units of or two models here, and the Illyrian Reavers. Oh no, you just need to shave 2 points somewhere. Although I would like this unit to be a little bit bigger. I feel like we're lacking a lot of stuff, right, defensively. So we're lacking defense against magic missiles. We're lacking defense against spells. So we can go with the Lawmaster's Cloak, and we can give them Veteran. We don't need Veteran as much because we've got the BSB. It's still nice to have, but it's less important. We still need to drop 27 points. Drop the Reaver. What have you got here? Oh, sure. Let's just go like cheap and cheerful, and we drop the musicians on this. I think if I was doing this, so this is V1. I'm just going to duplicate this. Like the Sea Guard, I want to write this more Goodera. Okay, so I think looking at points, we're just not going to be able to fit. I hate this core, but it's just. I mean, we're talking high elf core, right? So what are you going to do? Let's get this unit up to. Let's make it the Death Star it deserves. Deserves to be. We'll give them Veteran. I think I just really want to have Veteran on there. 28 models with Veteran. We've got a Mage with Battle Magic, Casting, Oaken Shield. Very good. Big fan of that. Archmage, Silver One Cedar Rebirth. We'll go Ruby Ring of Ruin, and then we'll go Double Obsidian Lodestone. Oh, we could only fit 1 in. Okay. Noble. How many points do we want to spend on the Noble? Banner of Resilience is probably like more than we need. Like I think it's really solid, but I think it's probably just more than it's worth investing realistically. So if we go, I didn't even do it correctly, so I'll have to go and tweak that in a second for the other version. But like this, we don't need the Talisman Protection because we're on foot, right? Like so. CD Rebirth. Could give him a Dragon Helm. I'm not opposed to giving him a slightly better. Honestly, yeah, like giving our BSB an Open Amulet and a Dragon Helm, getting up to a 3-up save. Give him a shield as well. He's got a shield. Cool. Yeah, 3-up save in combat. Can go to a 2-up save if he needs to tank. Has a single 2-up ward save. Has a 5-up regen. Hopefully gets a 5-up ward save from the mage, and then 3/7/7. Like, what's the best beta you can put in for that? Like, honestly, I kind of wonder if it's is it a Sky Cutter? Like, it's not thematic, but I wonder if it's the Sky Cutter. Because it's 7 wounds over 6. You're only toughness 4 instead of toughness 5. Is it really better than a Griffin? No. Is it a Sun Dragon? Maybe it's a Sun Dragon. Maybe that's the best beta you can put in. Again, your 7 wounds, your toughness 5. You've got actual stomps. Like, you're pretty mid, but you're just looking for something to back up the unit. The Impetuous does kind of suck. So that is a problem. But you've got the built-in 6-up ward save. We've got 52 points available, which I now have less than because of... yeah, okay. So to make this work, we're going to drop the shield on the Noble. We'll come back to it if we need to. And then we go Seed of Rebirth. Kind of want a double opal amulet. But we don't have the points for it. Maybe the noble drops the dragon helm. Yeah. And then we go a second opal amulet. If we're getting the free full plate, I kind of just want the whatchamacallit, right? The shield as well to get us up to a 3-up armor save against shooting. I guess it's not super important. There's no way to comfortably do it. I don't want to drop to a halberd. I know that's like the normal Sun Dragon build, but that's because the Sun Dragon's doing a lot more of the heavy lifting. Going to a halberd feels pretty rough here. And it also wouldn't shave us as many points as we need. So this character is as cheap as it's going to be, because I want to take Oaken Amulet and Fireball. I don't want to drop. This one, 5 spells. Yeah, I think this is as good as it's getting realistically. Maybe you go high magic because it's got an actual magic missile in there. Maybe that makes it better, because you can Fiery Convocation. And it also, you get more mobility with the list, as opposed to... Yeah, because if you get Walk Between Worlds, let's assume you get Walk Between Worlds, Ethereal is good into a lot of armies. The reserve move is really nice because you can then go Fireball from the level 2, Ruby Ring of Ruin Fireball, and then Fiery Convocation as well. So you've got 3 magic missiles, but you can still move twice. Your open order as well, right? Being White Lions. Yeah, so you get the open order pivot at the end of your first move. You obviously don't get it on the second one, because it's the quick turn is only in remaining moves. Yeah, remaining moves specifically. That's okay, I think. General's not in the unit, so they can't all soak challenges. Have got a 4-up save against non-magical attacks. Got a 4-up ward against magic missiles. Immune to stomps. This feels pretty fine, I think. We're just like 200 points over because we've gone so heavy here. Yeah, because it's not core. I mean, I just play this as like... If we're doing this, surely you just bite the bullet and you play it as Trace and Warhost, right? I guess maybe there's an issue with models, but let's just sketch that one out because this is the last list, so I haven't got anywhere to be. What am I going to do? Finish work? Have to commute back home? My bed is there. So I think, yeah, let's say that we're doing it this way, and we're going to go the full... Is it 28? I think you can get to. Veteran, Onsen Tapestry, and then Lawmaster's Cloak. Cool. We do need to go tracing Woodsman in core, but that's fine because Woodsmen are just like pretty good. Pretty good. Heavy armor. And honestly, let's just give them ambush so we can keep our drops low if we need to. Could go down to 12. Let's go down to 12. Probably looking at sisters for the scoring. So like because unit strength 10 scores, I think we want to go slightly bigger. So we go 1 unit with ambush, but we probably start them on the board. We'll come back to them in terms of magic items later. Let's deal with that in a second. Okay, Chieftain is going to be the BSB. And if we're doing that, then we'll go... I think still War Banner is fine, just for the amount of points we want to spend on it. And we can just give them Seed of Rebirth, Opal Amulet, and... Sacred Incense is something I'd love to have fit in the other version of the build for the -1 to hit. Because if we're trying to make them resilient to everything... Obviously, we can get cover really easily, because we'll be bringing a wood that we can stand in. But getting the additional -1 to be hit just makes us nigh unstoppable in the form of ballistic skill shooting. So we've got Archmage. Here we'll go... No, I'll come back to that. I had a thought, but I will come back to it. So we'll go Tracing Hunter, Great Blade, level 4, High Magic, and then let's go Seed of Rebirth, and let's also go Silvery Wand, and then also let's go Magic Resist 2. Okay, cool. And then we'll go a level 2 Wizard. Ruby Ring of Ruin, that's what I'm missing. That's why we didn't do it before. So we take that off, but we put Sacred Incense on this model. There we go. This is how we make it work. This is how we make it work. I'm saying that it's not going to work. Because I'm going to go... let's drop the Opal Amulet for the sake of it. I'd like to keep it, but I think we just can't fit everything in if we do. So we could double Obsidian Lodestone here. Okay, whatever. That'll do. That'll do. And then we go level 2 regular mage. Wait, can you not take regular mages? Is me being a dumb? It's been a hot minute since I've looked specifically at what you can build. 'Cause it's one of those where it feels pretty linear, the way that you build the Tracing Warhost in the meta, because you want to go double dragon, right? Yeah, you actually can't run regular mages. That's such a weird restriction to have. Not being able to run level 1 wizards feels pretty odd. So let's just go Stormweaver level 3. But they can't join... They can't join the unit. Okay. Okay. So we'll do this way then. We'll go for a second Archmage. We'll go level 3. We'll go Battle Magic. Tracing... all of the good stuff. All of the good stuff. We're going to go... Seed of Rebirth. We're going to go Ruby Ring of Ruin. We're still getting... Need to take more Obsidian Lodestones in general. Hopefully you'll need to take less. I don't know what's coming in the FAQ, but hopefully things get nerfed so that we don't all need to think that magic resist is the most important thing that ever existed. Okay. Okay. So we got this, and then we could go for a Noble who is going to be moderately punchy on a Griffin. I think it is a Griffin. Although... Yeah. We were just going Griffin. We're going Griffin, we're not thinking about it. So we'll go... Talisman of Protection. And... Seed of Rebirth. And... Great Weapon. And Shield. Boom. Okay. Great. And then this, I guess, has to be the General, which I don't love, because it's only 5 wounds, but you can't put it on the Chieftain, and the other 2 models have lower. Yeah. Alright, so we'll go... let's go for a 6. The 6 can be the one with Ambush, and the 6 can have... honestly, the Bow of the Seafarer, because they can come in and try and snipe angles, and then the 12 can take the Sword of Sorrow. I do like the Sword of Sorrow. It is 30 inches, and yeah, it synergizes nicely. We are over on points here, so let's just go down to, like, here. Okay, so this is my version. Tracing Warhost. And then we need to tweak his version, which was down here. Because the version here isn't actually legal, right? Because this is fine. The Prince, and then we've got the Noble. Has to be... I think Banner of Resilience just has to go. It's too many points. Just can't make it work. As much as I want it to work, I just can't make it work. So I think you just go War Banner. Or like Banner of Swirling Winds, and then you fit something else in there. So we're going back to this version. Seed of Rebirth, all familiar. Seed of Rebirth, Silvery Wand. We haven't got Magic Resist, and we haven't got the other thing. The -1 to be shot. So let's put the Magic Resist... oh, and we haven't got the... Ooh... We've lost the Ruby Ring of Ruin as well. So let's just put that back in. Ruby Ring of Ruin. And then we've also got... Nope, that's the wrong thing. Not an Opal Amulet, an Obsidian Lodestone. The other O word. We're 8 points over. Just a little bit annoying. Oh, and also the unit's so small. It's so frustrating. Like 20 is still fine. It's just not as big as you'd like it to be. I know... Okay. So we're going to drop the Bow of the Seafarer down to the Sword of Sorrow. I think Bow of the Seafarer is better, but we need the points. That's the entire decision tree here. That's why we're tweaking stuff. Because we just need those points. Then we've got 12 points. I think there's nothing in the list that I want that I can put in for 12 points. If I put this in, we'd still need 8 points. I could go for a second Obsidian Lodestone, but it doesn't fit, and it also wouldn't fit in this model. I guess. Anything on you? For 10 points? You know, I was going to say Dragon Helm, but we can't fit it. But the Noble could fit. And, oh, no, the Noble doesn't need the Talisman of Protection. That was it. Noble can go Opal Amulet to make sure they don't fall over. And then we can go back to the Bow of the Seafarer, because now I've remembered to change those points over. That is just more gooder. Turn off the Sword of Sorrows. And go for Bow of the Seafarer. Cool. This will do. Yeah, I've thought about I've thought about the White Lion Death Star a fair amount. So let's just post that one as well. All right. Cool. Well, hope you all have a good weekend. I am away for Sunday and Monday. So, as much as I don't want it to, it almost feels guaranteed that that's when we're going to get information about the upcoming FAQ. Just because that's the funniest thing that could happen. So,